Hello, guys, and welcome back to the podcast. I am one half of your host, Caitlin.
And I'm the host with the most, Andrew.
Hello, Andrew.
Howdy doody.
How's
What's
it going?
Up? Oh, it's fine.
Yeah?
I've been doing all kinds of stuff.
Like?
Going for walks. I don't know.
Good for you.
Yeah.
It's Cyber Monday. Did you get any deals?
Yeah, but I can't talk about them because some of them are Christmas presents for people who listen. So,
Andrew, can I tell you something? I'm really bad at surprises.
Yeah.
I got you a gift.
I figured that when you asked me my shirt size.
I don't know if you'll like it, but I thought it looked cool and John thought it looked cool. So
I will say I haven't gotten you anything for this year. So,
but you got me a cool one last year. So.
Yeah,
and then Alyssa got me the exact same one. That was so funny. That was funny.
That was just like a serendipitous thing of just like I saw a thing, I was like, oh, perfect.
You know what?
I did not go looking for anything. It just happened.
The exact same thing must have happened with Alyssa. Just like, Caitlin needs that. And it was a good quality grade A. Sorry, I had a hiccup there. Grade A sweatshirt.
Yeah, I've got a sweatshirt from there. It's the one that says ghost on it. And it's just a little drawing of a ghost.
A little ghost. Yeah, that one's cute.
Yeah, it's comfortable too.
This is comfy that I have on, but I didn't get it Black Friday.
Yeah.
Just leaving that there.
I got a video game. We'll talk about it later.
Oh.
You know which one it is.
Oh,
Don't worry about it.
the one you've been playing?
Yes.
Oh.
But we'll talk about that after you tell us about
what
today's episode.
Oh, okay.
Which is about
today, Andrew. It's episode 79, which is really close to 80. Did you know that?
It's the closest you can get without going over, so it almost wins in Price is Right.
I was going to say that. So this is episode 79, and today we are talking about Ms. Maud Crawford. So for this episode, Andrew, if you can believe it, I'm the one who's going to be venturing into the past. Exciting. You're normally the one that goes to the past, but you go way farther back than I do. So we're only going back to the 1950s. So, we're going to talk about Maud Crawford. And when I started researching this, I was going off the little blurb that I put on we have a running list of like show ideas. And I was going off the blurb I put on there and I was like, not something I would normally do, but I'm going to go for it. Yep. It was nothing like I put on the blurb at all. So it was a surprise for everybody.
Now I want to see what the blurb is.
Okay. So while you're doing that, I'm going to tell you the story.
I love that. Okay. Let's go.
Okay. So a little background here on Maud Crawford. Maud Crawford was born Maud Robinson on June 22nd. That's Andrew's birthday.
Please don't remember that and steal my identity.
1891 in Greenville, Texas.
That part's fine to remember.
1891 in Greenville, Texas. And she was the oldest of 4 children to Jack and Ida Robinson. When she was 9 years old, her mother unfortunately died, and Maud moved to Warren, Arkansas to live with her grandmother, who ran a boarding school there.
And big shout out to Warren, Arkansas, my best friend Trey's favorite town.
I'm sensing sarcasm.
Yeah, they're big rivals with his hometown of Monticello.
So it's close. It's in South Arkansas?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Warren is where the Walmart is. That's a reference for him. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Well, there you go, Trey. There's that for you. So Maud was described as bright and inquisitive. She graduated valedictorian of her high school, and then she went on to attend the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville from 1911 to 1912. So just for a year.
I want to say, did she graduate? Was she like...
I don't think so.
She have a bunch of college credits?
No, I think she just went for a year.
You know how women can't graduate college? Present company excluded, Caitlin.
Okay.
Moving on. Let's move on from my bad joke that I didn't even like. But it's funny because of how untrue it is.
I like how this episode is about a very smart, intelligent woman. I approve of Maud. Anyway, okay.
I've yet to meet one, so this is exciting.
You are just... I am returning what I got you. You are not getting it. So in 1916, Maud began her career as a stenographer, which just really sparked her love of law. Now in 1925, she married Clyde Falwell Crawford. And just a note, because I was curious about this, reading about her story, the two would not have any children. She never had any children. And by 1927, the very intelligent Maud wanted to practice law. Back then, they had something called like being read for the law, which basically means that you never studied it, but you're very well versed in it, which she was, being a stenographer and being very intelligent. So with that, having this knowledge, she was allowed to sit for the bar exam with the University of Arkansas School of Law graduates. And not surprisingly, she finished number 1 on that. She finished that test number 1 and was admitted to the Arkansas bar, becoming the first female attorney of Camden, Arkansas, where she lived then.
I would like to say that is surprising because I don't know how many people were there, and they all maybe studied law.
Yeah, they all, yeah.
You said not surprisingly. That's very surprising.
That she
finished first, yeah.
This lady is super freaking smart.
But they had to be surprised. First of all, they were probably sexist. Second of all, she hadn't studied law though.
I'm not surprised. They can be surprised. I'm not surprised.
Like these other people probably went to school specifically for that.
Yes.
That's like, I don't know, if you and I played Halo and you whipped my ass at it. Yeah. I would be very surprised because you've never played Halo.
I too would be surprised.
Exactly.
But she knew she had it in her, and like being a stenographer, like she like was in and around the law stuff. She was and she had done it for 11 years before she even sat for the bar. So she was more entrenched in it than these new graduates were. So she was around it far more, and I think she was around it in a more applicable setting. Like
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like it's different. Like I equate it maybe to being in nursing school. Nursing school is nothing like the real world. You get out there and
just like regular school.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Kind of, yeah. In some cases.
You're going to learn about the mitochondria, but not how to do taxes. So there's that.
Listen, okay, first of all, if they taught how to teach taxes in school, ain't nobody paying attention. Let me just tell you that right now.
I would a little bit.
No, you would not have. If you're talking about like high school where you learn about the mitochondria, you would not have paid any attention.
I was an honor grad. I listened. I made good grades.
You would not pay attention. And taxes are extremely boring and frustrating. I took a class in college that was basically about like how to do your taxes, and it was very frustrating and boring.
Well, listen, I'm just talking about.
Just saying.
I'm just talking about the easy form. I'm not talking about. We're not going into assets and all that crap. We're talking easy.
It was not really that stuff either. It was pretty easy stuff. It was basically like
no. You know, like the easy form I'm talking about.
Like what you're doing the free TurboTax.
Yeah. The easy form.
Yeah, but I mean,
easy file.
Anyway,
I didn't even know how to do that. Just basic. We're going basic. We're going super basic. I don't even know the mitochondria. I don't even know it's the powerhouse of the cell. That's all I know. Okay. So blah blah blah. She was in Camden. She became the first female attorney in Camden, Arkansas, and she became a female attorney, and it was just 10 years after women were first allowed to start practicing law in Arkansas. So she is like a trendsetter. Like she is a road with a paver
trendsetter,
whatever I'm trying to say.
She's streets ahead.
Yes. So she practiced at the same law firm that U.S. Senator John McClellan had been a partner in, where she did a lot with abstract examination and title work, which, gotta be honest, that sounds so boring. But she was very good at it, excelled at it, and was like an expert at it in the area. People came to her for stuff. She was really, really well known around the town. She was known for walking with her Dalmatian named Dal. We're driving. Sorry. Okay. We're driving her dark blue two-door 1956 Mercury sedan, which sounds like a real swaggy car. Swanky. That's what I'm looking for. Swanky car. She and Clyde also lived in quite a stately, beautiful home that was built in the early 1900s. And I saw a picture of it. It's very recognizable. It's super beautiful. It's like a nice early 1900s home with like the big pillars out front. It's really pretty. She was incredibly active in the Camden community and the civic affairs, like any club that she could be president of and that she could be a part of. She was elected. She was highly favored. She was the first woman in Camden elected to city council, which she served for like 8 years or something like that. She also helped to found Arkansas Girls State. She was one of the founders of Arkansas Girls State, which that's so cool. I had no idea.
What is that?
Girls State. It's like a 6-week program that they do at Hendrix College in Conway. and girls can go there. It's basically like a camp, but they learn about like it's for smart people. Smart girls go there.
So you never went?
Well, I was going to go, but I went to band camp instead.
A likely story.
I was invited to go, but I went to band camp instead. But and they learn about like different things, politics, and you can do music. You can take electives. You just kind of learn. There's a boys' state as well that they do.
Well, I had never heard of it, so I must not be very smart either. So what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? But I had no idea she was a founder of it, which just makes sense. I mean, it totally makes sense. She won so many awards. Like, there was a whole list of awards that she won for being awesome, and she was just overall a great person and a great role model to look up to. So I'm a big fan of Maud, big time. So on March 2nd, 1957, Maud at this time was about 65 years old. At around 8:30 p.m., Maud's cousin called her on the phone, and they talked for a bit, which was pretty standard for them, pretty usual. Clyde, now I read this in one article, so take it with a grain of salt, but it was said that he was known as kind of a strange man. And he was downtown. He would go to downtown every night and see a movie at the Malco Theater, where it was said that he would go and kind of like watch teenagers make out, which again, that was only in one article, so take it with a grain of salt. I don't know if that's true or not.
People back then needed cable.
They did have cable in their house.
Cable TV, they did not in 1950s.
They had a TV in their house.
Wouldn't be cable TV. Wouldn't be like what they're putting on these days. I'll tell you that much.
What would it be?
I don't know. 1950s, like was Bonanza still out? I don't know.
Was it even made then?
Gunsmoke.
Was that made then?
Have Gun Will Travel. I'm just thinking of westerns. Like, I don't know. I Love Lucy.
Lawrence Welk Show.
I don't know.
The Lawrence Welk Show. The only reason I know that show is because of a sketch that Fred Armistead did on Saturday Night Live.
What was the guy? Ed Sullivan.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe that was on. Anyway,
doesn't matter. It doesn't.
The point is, they wouldn't have had teenagers making out on TV then.
Yeah.
They probably wouldn't have even held hands much. I don't know.
Yeah. Barely looked at each other. But like I said, he did this every night. Went to go see a movie. So that was pretty standard. After Clyde finished the movie, he headed down to Carter's liquor store to have a few beers, as he did every evening. So I guess you could drink beer in the liquor store. I don't know. But every evening he did it. And he returned home at 11:30 p.m. as he did pretty much every evening. So pretty standard night for everybody.
I mean, it could be one of those things where it's like also a bar maybe.
Yeah.
I suppose. Yeah. I don't know how.
What were 1957 liquor stores like?
Yeah, who knows?
Not me. Not you.
It's definitely not me.
Okay.
I wasn't there.
I wasn't. I don't even... my parents weren't even there. Nope. Neither were yours. Nobody was there. It didn't happen.
Clyde was there.
Clyde was there. But when Clyde returned home, he came to a house. All the lights were on. The TV was on. The doors were unlocked. And a pan of half-shelled beans were on the table. And Dal was just sitting there waiting, just hanging out. But Maud was nowhere to be found. She was nowhere in this house that looked like somebody was definitely awakened in there. Nobody was there. Her car was still in the carport with the keys in the ignition, as Maud always left it that way. It was a different time. And her purse and wallet were still there in the house, with $142 cash still in the wallet, which is about $1,400 in today's money, which is a sizable amount of money. So robbery wasn't a motive. Yeah,
that's definitely the kind of money that even if you're a good person, you look at it and it's like, well, I could use it, but I won't. I won't do it.
But I could use it. So nothing at all was amiss. There was no signs of struggles. It was like Maud was just not there. Everything else was in place. Maud just wasn't there. So around 1 a.m., Clyde left their home and began driving around the city, looking into cafes and into friends' homes to see if their lights were on and if there was any sign of Maud. He even flagged down 2 policemen to ask if there had been like some kind of vehicle accident that might explain her disappearance, but everything was fine. There was nothing amiss. So around 2 a.m., Clyde decided it was time to drive to the police station, and he reported Maud missing.
Oh, he didn't wait the 24 hours from movies?
No, I don't think that's a thing.
Weird.
Can you believe it?
I sure can, because I know that movies, not real.
Are fake. Yeah. That's right.
Just like wrestling.
Yes, it is.
But movies are more fake, to be fair.
I do have a wrestling question to ask you, but not right now. We'll talk about it later. So the next day, an extensive search went underway for Maud. A community was looking, police were looking, but there were no leads to go on. There was nothing. And during the search, no clues at all were discovered. Nothing. So 2 weeks after her disappearance, the police chief said Maud's case was just, they said, quote, stalemated. It was just, there's nothing.
Gone cold.
That quickly. There was nothing to go off of.
After 2 weeks, if nothing's turned up and you don't have any leads, I don't know what else you call it.
What are you going to do? Yeah.
You call it, I don't know.
Cold? Stale?
You basically say, like, it's still, like, we got nothing.
We got nothing. You can't help it if you're looking and you got nothing. So there was speculation of mob involvement due to Senator McClellan. Remember, he was a partner at the law firm she worked at. Due to Senator McClellan being involved with, like, it was some kind of like legislation or something, or research or investigation into mob involvement with some kind of labor, something. I don't know.
That's something mobs would do.
Yeah. So, and he was like looking into it and getting really involved with it. So with like her association with Senator McClellan, there was like some speculation that there was mob involvement with Maud's disappearance that way. And that's what I thought this case was about. It's not. Just going to go ahead and spoiler alert. It's not. I thought this was mob stuff. Because you saw my little blurb on there.
Yes, it says, pioneering woman who was a stenographer, then sat for the bar exam and passed. She was linked to mob investigations somehow? Went missing under strange circumstances. No clues were ever found.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, yeah. Not mob stuff, but we're going to talk about it all. So, and because of her association with McClellan, because he was, a U.S. senator, and there was like mob involvement, maybe Maud's case went totally international, and it captured the attention of like everyone. It was across the globe. People knew about Maud's case, which was crazy. And there was also speculation, Maud's involvement with another family affairs gone awry is what caused her missing.
And I see it says we'll talk more on that one.
We'll talk more. But
very exciting.
Clyde was also kind of looked at as a suspect.
As you always do.
Well, I didn't find anything necessarily that said that he was like really looked at, but of course you always look at the spouse. But because he was kind of odd, they're kind of like maybe raised an eyebrow, but there was nothing at all that indicated that he would have harmed her or even really had the motive or the time to, because he was out all night.
So he says.
I'm pretty sure there were witnesses.
Were there though?
I mean, would you notice
Probably.
A creepy man watching you make out with your girlfriend?
Probably not. It'd be in the dark.
Unless he was like
in
this.
The theater. Unless he was going like, yeah.
Do it.
No, do a little more.
A little more tongue.
Yeah.
Tongue.
Unless that's happening, you probably don't really notice.
Ugh.
That's the whole point of it.
If he even did
it.
If he even did that.
Yes,
I don't know.
Exactly.
So something that I found odd, though, even though he was not really listed as a suspect, or he was very briefly considered, I think. But I thought this was odd. Very shortly after her disappearance, Clyde sold Maud's car to a friend named Don Harrell. He was a student at Hendrix College in Conway. Like, this was very shortly after her disappearance, like a couple weeks after her disappearance. So I was like, why would you do that? Anyway, interestingly enough, one day in April of 1957, so like a month later, while Don was driving around his newly acquired car, he found a receipt that had been left in there, and it was one of Maud's, and it was dated for March 2nd, and the receipt had a phone number written on the back. And so Don brought it to the Camden police chief in hopes that it could shed some light onto Maud's case. But as far as I can tell, nothing ever came of it. Nothing at all. Whose phone number was that? Why was it on there?
Maybe it was like, I don't know. I guess we don't know.
I don't know. Nobody knows, as far as I know. So it kind of went like that. Her case, just nothing. That was about it. That receipt was pretty much it. So in 1969, the probate court of Washita County legally established Crawford's death, stating in part, quote, It is the finding of the court that Maud R. Crawford is deceased and has been dead since March 2nd, 1957, as a result of foul play perpetrated by person or persons unknown. So she was declared dead.
That's interesting. Do they still do that? Because I feel like...
They still declare people dead.
Even when they're just missing? Because it seems like all the time they're like, we're still hopeful.
No, it's... I think it has to be like a minimum of 5 years before they'll do it. Because I remember we were... One of our cases we were doing, I don't remember which one it was, but they waited 5 years and 1 day and had the person declared dead. So it was like they were ticking off the days so they could declare the person dead to get life insurance and stuff like that. Okay. So, and clearly if she wasn't declared dead before then, it doesn't seem like Clyde really, was too gung-ho to do it, he waited all that time.
At least for that part of it. I don't know.
So... Okay, let's talk about the theories of her disappearance. And it gets kind of convoluted. So, let's talk about it. So, there is first the theory that Maud fell victim to foul play by the mob mafia. And it emerged because of her involvement with McClellan and the anti-mafia, like the labor mafia, I don't know, stuff. And so, it was said that she was targeted as a hostage for ransom so that they would... quit doing what they were doing and leave the mafia alone, but no ransom or communication from any mafia or mob members came forward, so that seemed like it was not true.
Yeah, if you're not doing a good job of ransom if you're not giving a ransom note or
that's pretty important.
Call or something. Yeah, like it's one of the most important parts of it.
Of a ransom is a ransom.
That's like it's like trying to do a murder but not killing somebody.
Exactly. So nothing I saw, again, ever really officially pointed to Clyde as a suspect. But if the speculation was true of his odd behavior and wanting to watch kids make out, I don't know. So maybe, but probably unlikely. There were some talks around the town of Maud being involved with some family affairs with another family and an estate worth $20 million, in excess of $20 million. But none of that really came to light in 1957. Nobody really knew about it. Very few people knew about it. Let me say that. Until 1986, 29 years after Maud's disappearance, when a Miss Beth Brickell, she was a Camden native and a California transplant, came back to Arkansas to write a screenplay on Maud's disappearance. And she had actually met Maud when she was in junior high school. She was just a pillar of the community. She kind of talked to the girls and, go get them type things, and we're the way of the future.
You can do anything you set your mind to.
Pretty much. And Beth Brickell really did. She went to Hollywood. She's an actress, award-winning actress, screenplay writer, author, all sorts of other stuff. So she went big. So she came back to Arkansas to write about Maud. And she was only going to stay for about 3 weeks and then head back. But she ended up staying for almost a year and a half. She literally put her life on hold because she started to dig into Maud's case and was like, oh no, this goes all the way to the freaking top. So she literally dedicated like almost a year and a half of her life to hanging out in Arkansas and doing this. So she wrote an 18-article investigative series that was published in the Arkansas Gazette. And it's now been compiled into a book. So I didn't have access to it because I don't have the book. But we are going to talk about what Beth uncovered and made known, because some of it had already been uncovered, but it wasn't been made known. So let's talk about it. And this is where it gets convoluted. Lots of names, lots of moving parts, lots of dates, and it's a little confusing. So we're going to make the best of it that we can. So there was a lady named Rose Berg, and Rose Berg was a friend and neighbor of Maud. Rose married a man named Henry Lionberg. The couple they were elderly when Maud knew them, and they never had any children of their own either. But Henry would go on to own like a ton of land and a ton of timber and oil and like stocks. And he was a money man. He knew money, he knew business, and he owned a lot of stuff that got him a lot of money. And his estate was valued at in excess of $20 million. So in 1950, Henry passed away. Rose, who was 70 at the time, she was kind of starting to suffer from dementia at that point, being confused. Now, Maud was Rose's legal advisor and had helped draft up Henry's will before he died. And in this will, it left 3/4 of everything to Rose and 1/4 to his nephew, Henry Meyer, who he went by Mike Berg. We're going to call him Mike from now on, Mike Berg. And Mike Berg was an Arkansas State Police Commissioner. That's fun. So the question came about with Rose's estate, who would inherit her share of like the $15 million and some other extra assets that she had should she pass. So after Henry died, Rose died, who's going to inherit her stuff? Also, she's starting to suffer from dementia now. There's a lot of like question marks. Well, multiple people, including Maud, said that Rose did have a will saying what the decision should be. And that decision was that 3 of Maud's nieces who lived out of state would inherit the entirety of the estate. But one person was conspicuously missing from that will, and that was Mike Berg. And Mr. Mike Berg was not happy with that. The problem, there were unsigned copies of the will with the nieces, but there was only a signed copy of the will with Maud and one in Rose's safety deposit box. The nieces and their mother all said they had seen the signed copy, but all they had were unsigned copies of this will that said that the nieces got everything. So again, not being mentioned in Rose's will meant that Mike would have a whole lot to lose, like an entire inheritance worth to lose. He would lose a bunch of interest in the various companies and endeavors that Henry Berg had going on, like the land and oil, timber, and things like that. And he would have to kind of like share with the other nieces, who he was not related to by blood. They were on the other side of the family. Those were like his cousins-in-law, I guess. So, funny thing, when Maud went missing, so did the signed copy that the nieces said she had of the will. That signed copy of the will went missing, and the will in the safety deposit box also went missing. So also allegedly like moved, missing, forged, or bonds and checks from Rose's safety deposit box. Like there were bonds and checks that were like missing, forged, they've been moved around. Like it was all really suspicious and weird. So in 1954, so 4 years after her husband died, Rose was in full incompetence at this point. She was fully demented at this point. 3 deeds were drawn up that left everything to Mike. So the signed wills were made a year later. Does that make sense? So we're kind of going back and forth in time here, talking back and forth in time. So the alleged signed wills that Maud drafted up were written in 1955. In 1954, a year before, in full incompetence, Mike drafted up 3 deeds that left everything to himself. And Rose's very shaky, illegible signature was on that line. So even though she wasn't declared unfit until the next year, even though she was fully demented, in 1954. So that's what remained were those deeds, even though there was signed deeds, signed wills and stuff that Maud had drafted. Those went missing. So the only thing that remained that was signed were the deeds that Mike drafted up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Like I said, it's all very confusing. There's like pages and pages of this stuff. So I'm trying to make the best sense of it that I can. So come to find out, an employee of Mike's had come to Maud. I don't think he knew that Maud was as involved as she was, and he wanted her to draft up some deeds that listed Mike as the beneficiary. I think this was probably in 54. And then Maud realized the deception that was going on as she had uncovered the bonds and forgeries and stuff that had been going on. And like, you know, because there's no way that Rose could have done any of the stuff she was doing because she had no idea what was going on. So Mike was doing all of this. So yeah, Maud realized that the level of deception that Mike had. And so she was fighting. She was trying to do everything she could. And remember, she's an expert in this kind of stuff. This is what she was known for, was titles and all the kind of stuff like that. So she was fighting to try to get the nieces their share, as Rose wanted them to have. So, and Mike was fighting for himself. So you see the coming to the head.
I see the puzzle.
Yes.
I found the missing piece of the jigsaw.
Okay.
At least some of the pieces.
So yeah. So then Mike knew that Maud knew, and Maud more or less confronted Mike about what she knew and what she had found out. And as she was leaving his office, he could be heard like cursing her and saying she was as good as dead, basically, more or less. So not good. So then Rose died just a couple years later. Mike inherited everything, of course, because he made sure that those signed wills disappeared. So now, at the time of Maud's disappearance, Arkansas State Police Detective Otis Henley was assigned to Maud's case. And he had actually uncovered some of this stuff, like all this convoluted stuff. He had uncovered it. And he like compiled like a portfolio or whatever. And he brought them to the head of the Criminal Investigation Division. And he was told that to leave what he had, just to leave it there. And that he was being removed from the case because there was too much money involved. And that was it. When he went back to check later on what he had delivered and like to see about, if everything was still there, the stuff he had written about Mike was not in there anymore. And again, don't forget, Mike Berg was an Arkansas State Police Commissioner. So goes all the way to the top. Mike Berg died in 1975 without ever admitting to anything. So where is Maud? Unfortunately, Maud's remains have never been found. And it's pretty unlikely that they ever will be. Not impossible, but highly unlikely that they ever will be found at this point.
And even if they did, they probably wouldn't have DNA or anything.
Well, they might have dental records, but yeah, maybe in 1957. I don't know. There is speculation to where she may be, though. It's possible that Maud is somewhere in Berg Lake. Someone claimed an employee who worked for Mike filled concrete in a well on the lake the night that Maud disappeared. And nobody wanted to like investigate or poke around with Mike too much because, again, he was well connected with the state police. So that's that. But in Maud's legacy, Maud's beautiful stately home is still there. The homeowner, at least the owner, this was an article from 2019. I'm assuming the homeowner is still the same, but I don't know. The owner knows and appreciates the history behind the house and knows about Maud, and there are pictures of Maud hanging up around the house, and there's articles about Maud hanging up around the house because they wanted to commemorate her and what an incredible woman she was. And despite her legacy, there are no plaques or honorifics in Camden anywhere for Maud, like not even a tombstone. And so I think Beth Brickell went back and talked to the mayor about that. And he had said that when he first took office, people were like, don't mess with this case. It's bad blood in the area. People are still connected and don't want it to be brought up. So he kind of let it lie. But I think knowing her legacy, he was like, I didn't want to do anything like the first year because people told me not to ruffle feathers, but I fully intend on, putting a plaque or something. In June of this year, the mayor of Camden said he was planning on rectifying that and putting up a plaque. So, sorry. And of course, Maud left a lasting impression on Beth Brickell, who wrote that giant piece, an 18-piece investigative series, and was featured on the front page of the Democrat Gazette. I mean, it was like big. She had been threatened with legal action from Mike Berg's widow, but she was like, not backing down from this, bro. And she didn't, and the newspaper fully had her back, but no legal actions were ever brought against her. So she exposed this. Good job. Good job, Beth Brickell. And Beth's expose did pave way for Maud's case to be reopened. With this, a new investigator obtained a subpoena to question Mike's old bodyguard named Jack Doris, who the investigator believed to be linked to Maud's demise. When the investigator arrived to Jack's house, he found Jack surrounded by angry family who were very defensive of him, saying he didn't have a right to be there, even though he did. And Jack was unable to talk. I think they may have been gathered by his bedside because he was dying, because just 7 hours later, Jack died, taking whatever secrets he knew to the grave. That's
when you want to get him is
on the deathbed, man.
Yeah, get them deathbed confessions.
I guess he didn't. He couldn't he was out of his mind at that point. He was very sick, I think. It's
probably honestly the case a lot of times.
Yeah.
As far as like when you're like right there.
Yeah. So nobody, unfortunately, has ever been charged or even named as an official suspect in Maud's case. So, and that's the story.
Way to go, Caitlin.
That took a totally different turn than I expected.
Yeah.
I thought it was Mob. It was not.
That's gonna be the Magia.
That was barely a blip in anything.
That was just like a side note. Like, I don't know, maybe mafia, whatever.
Exactly. I got my information from our girl, Janie Jones, from AY Magazine. She wrote a piece. She did a little interview with Beth Brickell. And of course, talking about Beth Brickell's investigative pieces that she did. Fox 16 News, luminousfilms.net, I think, is where you can find a link for some articles that Beth wrote, and also a link, I think, to the little book she compiled with all the articles in it. And then the Encyclopedia of Arkansas was really great. It was a great resource as well.
Well done, everybody, except for whoever did the murder.
Yeah, you're a bad person because Maud was one hell of a woman. Like, seriously, icon.
So, Caitlin, well, first of all, I forgot to mention last episode I said that there was something I was working on, and then I stopped because I didn't say why, but I basically said I was working on something, and then like the information didn't jive together, so I just abandoned it. Basically, it's just me saying I just want to point out that Investigation Discovery, a lot of their shows, total garbage, hack jobs, and this one, I'm not going to say what it was, but
Bands with Fans.
No, I don't even remember what the name of the show was called, but I thought it was going to work as a good one because it had interviews with the actual people. Oh. But then they were like, I didn't watch it all the way through, but some of the timeline stuff was not adding up in a way that made sense with anything else that was written about it. Like they were saying, oh, in 1999, these people moved from Michigan to Arkansas and leaving behind this one person. But then in the written material, it was like, well, that one person who was supposedly left behind in Michigan on your show graduated from high school in Arkansas in 1997, which is 2 years before. So there's like weird stuff like that. And I think they were editing around these interviews.
Yeah, because trying not to expose anything.
Well, because there was like, there was a person on there who was like sisters with this other person who was the subject of the story. Mm-hmm. And she was talking about how like being in Michigan while this horrible stepmother ran off and moved to Arkansas. Mm-hmm. And they were framing it as both of them stayed in Michigan. But if when I was paying attention to the interviews, she never said anything about her sister also being there. So I'm wondering if they like edited it around and there were shenanigans afoot. I don't know. I was just like, I was like, I just I metaphorically threw my laptop in the air.
Never mind.
And I said, to hell with this. I can't do anything with this material.
It's garbage.
There's something wrong here. So that's why I didn't do a different thing.
Okay, that's cool.
You had a wrestling question.
I was watching, or I saw something. Was there a wrestler at one point that fell from a ceiling and died?
Yes, Owen Hart.
That's what it was. Okay. I can't remember what I was coming across. It was something on Facebook or Instagram or something like that.
Yeah. At Over the Edge, 1999.
What happened?
Essentially, he was supposed to come down from the ceiling. Like he had like a harness hookup thing. Mm-hmm. And it was supposed to be rigged up to where it would, he would come out of it above the ground, but like close to the ground. And it did not do that. It came off while he was way up, and he fell
to his death.
And fell to his death.
Oh, that's so sad.
He broke his neck and died.
There, right then and there.
Yeah, in the middle of the ring.
Cow, with everybody there.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It was some. I know what it was. It was his wife.
Yes.
Saying she didn't like. She was so upset by the way it was handled, and that they kept having a match after his death. And I was like, "What happened?"
Yeah. They're like, the show must go on. So
yeah.
And which is crazy. There's a Dark Side of the Ring episode all about this.
Gotcha.
So maybe that's what it was from. You should check it out. It's on Hulu. It's from the second season, I think. But yeah, basically, it does not paint a good picture of WWE at the time. Yeah. In many ways, they did have a match right after, and I don't know if I assume they didn't tell the wrestlers going out exactly like how bad it was.
They said, like, I remember she said they didn't even clean up his blood.
No, his blood was still on the canvas.
That's messed up.
Yeah.
That's super messed up.
They normally don't if people bleed as they do in wrestling. They cut their forehead.
Yeah, but the guy
But it is
died.
different.
Yeah.
Like I think the next match would involve Jeff Jarrett, who is like one of his best friends. And so like he's going out to the ring, like past Owen Hart on a stretcher. He doesn't know
He's dead. I mean,
how bad. He's dead
by that
then.
point.
But he doesn't know. He maybe doesn't know. I don't remember. But,
Wow.
but
That's messed up.
They completed the whole show. It's the only pay-per-view that's not on the WWE network, as you might imagine.
Yeah.
Because the only reason, like, there's no reason you would want to watch it unless you're, you know, a weirdo and you're like a sicko and you're like, I want to see this part where this guy dies. Well, they're gonna obviously edit that out. So they edit out Tamer stuff all the time.
Did he know that his?
It was supposed to. Yeah, he knew that was supposed to cut out. But yeah, you should watch The Dark Side of the Ring.
So like, he didn't know until he made it to the ground that something was wrong because it was supposed to let go.
It was supposed to like go down and then like get caught because it was supposed to be a comedy segment. He was playing this character called the Blue Blazer, who was like this fake superhero thing. Mm-hmm. It was like a comedy thing. But yeah, it's supposed to like go down most of the way and get stuck, and then it would like let him off.
He'd fall a little bit. Yeah.
He would fall the amount a wrestler knows how to fall.
Was this like from like the top of like a stadium type?
Like an arena, yeah.
Like Simmons or whatever it's called anymore?
Yeah, probably a bigger arena, actually. It was in Kansas City.
Oh my gosh. That's like hundreds of feet.
Yeah, I don't know the name of the arena. It was a different arena than they have there now in Kansas City, but yeah.
That's really sad. I was wondering if I was figuring there would probably be an episode, a Dark Side of the Ring episode.
There sure is. Yeah, they show like what the carabiner looked like that they used, and I think it was like not a good one. It was like very small and it broke.
I'm sure he was a large man because he was a wrestler.
Very especially in the 90s. Like if you were like my height, ain't no way you're getting a WWE contract.
No,
nobody know how. Boy. Nowadays, there's guys like Adam Cole, Bryan Danielson. They're like 5'7", 5'8". They're like the best wrestlers out there. Oh. But like if you compare, like say, I know this doesn't mean anything to you, but it might mean something to somebody. Billy Gunn, he's like a wrestler who, he was part of a group called the Smoking Guns at one point with his fake brother Bart Gunn. But he's a guy, like if you look back at wrestling in the 90s, he wasn't that big a deal. He's like a medium deal. Mm-hmm. But you're like, he's not that big. You see him now with like modern wrestlers, you're like, holy crap, that dude's freaking gigantic, because the average size of wrestlers has gone down.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm sure he was a big dude. Like, I need 5 extra carabiners, please.
Yeah, he was probably like 6 something, 280, I don't know, or 260. I don't know what I don't know weights.
Big boy.
He's a big dude, yeah.
Wow. That's really, really sad.
Yeah, again, there's a Dark Side of the Ring on it. The Dark Side of the Ring is a really fascinating and good show.
You have told some pretty good stories from it. Even though I don't like wrestling, they're not like real wrestling stories per se.
Not necessarily.
They just involve wrestlers.
Yeah, some of them might be like somewhat about like why. Like I haven't watched it. They did one on a company called FMW, which is Full Martial Arts Wrestling or something like that. Mm-hmm. And they were like pioneers of the deathmatch style, like the barbed wire and stuff. So I'm sure they talk about wrestling in that, but
yeah,
if you want to see like maniacs and like the weirdos that came through wrestling back in the day, because it's way tamer now.
Yeah.
Like you should watch the one on New Jack, because he's a lunatic, or was. He died recently as like a heart attack or something, which is like,
who'd have thought?
Yeah, New Jack seems like a guy who should have died in a bar fight or something. Like,
I bet there's one about Chris Benoit.
There is.
Yeah.
There is.
That one's really
We actually talked about it on the show in like the first one or two episodes. So it was like forever ago. Who remembers?
Yeah. That was my question.
Okay, interesting. And we went down a good place there.
Good. You've gotten your wrestling out.
That's right. So anyway, let me tell you about Dynamite and what happened.
No, you better not.
Nah. I don't have anything super interesting about wrestling to talk about at the moment, I guess. But
thank God.
So I guess we can just talk about whatever. This is the part of the show where we talk about whatever. By the way,
you may tune out if you'd like, but if you want, hang out with us. See what we've been up to.
If you're just here for the story and then you're like, I'm done, that's fine. I get it.
Bye.
If you just want to hear us yammer on about TV shows or whatever we're doing, hey, we're here. I know sometimes I just like to hear people yap.
Yeah.
It's just a thing. Just listen to them flapping their gums.
Be a part of our conversation. And if you want to add something, you can message us on pretty much any social media.
Yeah, you can tell Caitlin how her opinions on anime are wrong.
Whatever.
Her opinion is that anime has no story. In case this is the first time you've heard.
Oh, I did watch an anime. A proper
An actual anime?
I believe so.
Okay, what's it called?
It was a Studio Ghibli film.
Oh, that's anime.
And it was House Moving Castle.
Oh yeah, how'd you like it? I haven't seen that one.
It was okay. The animation sure is pretty in that one.
Yeah, Studio Ghibli does really great animation.
It was really pretty. The story is kind of wacky. I mean, it was kind of
a castle that moves.
No, that's fine. It's just it's the dubbing over for me and the corniness of it that gets me.
Just watch it subtitled then, in
Okay.
Japanese.
Cool. That sounds
Why wouldn't
great.
you do that?
Sounds great. Well, I mean,
That's how I watch stuff now because I'm an adult.
but I don't have the Japanese language version readily available to listen to.
How do you not? What'd you watch it on?
I watched it it's on HBO.
Did they not have the option to switch it over?
Not,
I bet they do.
they have subtitles, but
I wonder if I bet they do. That's crazy if they don't.
all the Studio Ghibli films, if you're interested, are available on HBO Max.
All of them?
Well, there was a heck of a lot of them.
Did you ever finish that Earthsea one?
No, I
Okay.
couldn't. Didn't like it.
Yeah, I haven't watched it, but supposedly Le Guin didn't like it much either. Or she at least said it's not a good adaptation. I don't know.
Didn't like it. I only made it like 20 minutes in. I was like, no good.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
But again, I don't even know how that compares to any other Earthsea stuff. She was mad because it was directed not by Hayao Miyazaki. It was directed by like his son or something.
Do like that guy.
So,
I finished Song of Achilles. It was really good.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's his boyfriend's name again? Something with a P.
Patrocles.
Petrocles. Yeah. Okay.
It was pretty good. It was kind of sad.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, he is gonna.
It all happened sad real fast, and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa.
I bet. There's probably a part where he gets hit in the heel and he dies.
I don't think so.
What? That's what Achilles' heel is.
It doesn't say anything about a heel in there because I listened closely. I was like, this is the part with the heel. This is it. This is the part with the heel.
They subverted your expectations.
They did. I didn't.
They tricked you.
I heard nothing of a heel. But it was a pretty good book. I liked it. Very good storytelling. And I've started a new book, Andrew.
Oh, yeah?
Also, I got scribed.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We're not paid by them.
We are not paid by them.
We don't need to talk about who they are too much.
I did find a limitation with them. It's the amount of audiobooks they have.
Okay.
I wanted to listen to Wheel of Time. They do not have it available.
Is it we don't have it at all, or is it a wait list?
We don't have it at all.
All right, well.
So
there you go.
They must not have rights to certain things.
You should look up if they have Harry Potter rights, because I remember that was a big controversy at some point with them.
I have Harry Potter. Don't worry. I own it.
You should just look it up just in case, just for funsies.
I'm good. I own it. But I started a new book. Andrew, you're never going to guess what it is.
Dune.
Ugh, no.
Ringworld.
No.
Discworld.
Nope.
Halo.
Nope. You're cold. You're very cold. Come back to Earth.
Oh, I don't want to. Okay. Tell me what it is.
It's The Haunting of Hill House.
Oh yeah, the original.
The book. It's a little quirky. It's not a very long book.
You now have to read everything that Mike Flanagan has and will do.
What's he gonna do?
Well, there's Midnight Mass. There's Turning of the Screw, which is Bly Manor.
Okay.
And Midnight Mass is a book. So you have to read that.
Is it all by the same chick?
I don't think that. No, I don't think so.
These are just books he likes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you have to read the comic book. Something is Killing the Children,
which he is gonna make.
Yes,
thing.
That's
cool.
I read the first big arc of that.
Yeah.
So
You said it was good.
It was quite good.
Listen, the show is way different than the book.
I'm not surprised. I mean, it is.
The book was only taken as a very rough guideline. There are characters. There are no children. There are no siblings or children in this book that are main characters. Now, a lot of the names are the same. Like, there is an Eleanor who is Nellie in the show. Remember Nellie?
Yes.
One of the twins. Nellie and Luke were the twins. There's a Luke in the book. They're not related in any way, shape, or form. There's a Theodora. There is a Hugh, Crane, but he has nothing to do with anything. So it's very, there are names, but they have nothing to do with anything at all. I don't know where he literally came up. The only things that are in common are the names of characters and Hill House itself being creepy.
That's interesting. I wonder.
So far. I'm not done with it, but so far.
I wonder how that would translate. But apparently he's wanted to do Midnight Mass for a while, because there are, if you watch the show Haunting of Hill House and I think Bly Manor, you can see copies of the book Midnight Mass.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
So apparently that's been like a passion project of his. And
out of the two, was still the best.
Out of the two I've seen, I think Midnight Mass might be the better one.
I don't think so, because
I really liked it.
When it came to that thing, I was like, this is not a vampire show. Yep, it was and I was like, really?
It was a good one too.
It was okay. I mean, the monologues kill me, man. They kill me. The monologues were good in Hill House.
They go a bit too long, yes, I think, but
yes.
But at the same time, it's like, this is really well acted and written, and like conveys a lot of great character depth.
I do love
quality stuff. It's just a little too long.
I do love his wife is fantastic. She plays Theodora. She plays Theo in Hill House. Erin, I think is her name.
Erin Green.
Yeah, and she plays the lady in the lake in Bly Manor. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I haven't watched Bly Manor.
Oh, you haven't?
That's why I said out of the two I've seen, Midnight Mass is the best one.
It goes Hill House, Midnight Mass, Bly Manor.
I'm really excited to see what he does with Something Is Killing the Children, because that is much, as a comic book, it is much more action oriented than his shows have been for the most part.
Yeah, they're not very actiony. I will say that.
But I don't know. I'm sure he'll. I keep imagining like how it's going to be. Like I imagine there's going to be a lot of scenes of. So you haven't read the comic, but there's monsters, and only children can see the monsters unless they do a thing, and then like an adult can see monsters. So like the main character is an adult who can see the monsters and hunts them because the monsters are getting children.
Here, Dreamcast for I don't know anything about it.
The Sega Dreamcast.
The Dreamcast for the show. I don't know what characters will be involved, but here are the characters that I love from the anthologies that he's done. I love the guy that plays Hugh Crane, the dad in the first.
Okay, yeah.
I love.
Do you want
young,
old? Okay,
young.
I was gonna ask.
Well, even older Hugh Crane is good, but his diversity is less good than younger Hugh Crane. The girl that plays his wife, the mom.
Yeah,
she is so good. I love her. Mike Flanagan's wife that plays Theodora.
Erin Green.
Erin Green, yeah. She's incredible. Of course, she's gonna have to be in it. You know, it's his wife. I really liked the actor that played Nellie. I liked her.
Are we trying to Dreamcast Something Is Killing the Children?
Yeah, I want all these people to be in it.
Oh, even though you don't know anything about it?
Yep, yeah. The kid.
There needs to be somebody younger than like Theodora to play the Erica Slaughter character, who's the main one, I think. And you're also going to have a kid actor.
Well, I was going to say...
Well, assuming they stick with it the way they are.
Kid actor, from Bly Manor. There's a little girl in Bly Manor. She was really good, I thought. Also, really any of the kids from Hill House, they were all pretty darn good.
I could see... but
they're all older now.
Who's the lady who's the funeral director...
Shirley Jackson. Well,
yeah.
Shirley Jackson's the author of Hill House. That's where the name came from. Shirley. I
can see her and the girl who played Theodora and Erin Green being like people from the House of Slaughter who are like being real wenches to Erica.
Oh,
but
whoever that is.
She's the main character who is hunting the monsters, and she hates her job.
The priest from Midnight Mass was so good. His acting was incredible. It was great. The young guy, Mr. Car Crash guy, awful acting. Hated it. Terrible performance.
I'll disagree with you on that because you're wrong.
He was no good. But I do like as much as the reason why she was so good is because I hated her so much.
Bev?
Yes, hated her. And she played the dude's wife in what was his name? In Hill House, he was the oldest brother, and the one that was writing the books.
Yeah.
His wife in the show, in that show, she plays Bev.
She would be good as one of the wenches who is mean to Erica. Actually, now that I think about it,
I hated her a lot. I hated her a lot. So that was good. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and I could see any of those women being like the mom of one of the characters who their daughter goes missing.
Blah, blah, blah.
But yeah.
Blah 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 blah. What about you? What else you got?
So after years of Caitlin yelling at me about Adventure Time, I finally watched Adventure Time, and now
all of it.
I have usurped her as the ultimate Adventure Time fan because I watched Adventure
All of
Time:
it.
Distant Lands.
You have. How'd you like it?
I like it a lot. It's only 4 episodes,
But they're long.
and they're like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So like long by Adventure Time standards,
Right.
Whereas
15
11-minute
minutes.
episodes.
Yeah.
But yeah, these are like 45 minutes average, not even exact. There's 4 of them. The worst one is the first one, and let me tell you why.
Get it over with.
And this is the one that
Lemon
Caitlin
grab.
would really hate.
Lemon grab.
No, this is one you would hate.
Why?
BMO.
It's
all
like
about BMO.
BMO very much.
The first one is all BMO. I think it's fine, but I think it's the weakest of the group of 4 regardless. The second one, which is I think the best one, is called Obsidian, and it's about Marceline and Bubblegum and kind of their relationship after things have settled down.
Cool.
And also like looks back on their relationship before, and also Marceline before the events of the show and stuff.
I love it. Love that stuff.
There's the third one is Together Again, which takes place after Finn and Jake have died because they're old at this point.
Aww.
And basically,
but Marceline and Bubblegum are probably still around.
Yeah, they are like immortal weird things. There's like a line in Obsidian where they say something about skeletons, and Bubblegum's like, I don't have a skeleton, but that's fine.
Bonnabelle.
Yeah. Bonnabelle Bubblegum, who is the mother of her uncles or whatever.
Yeah, not weird.
That makes more sense if you've seen the show. Don't worry about it. It's not as gross as I made it sound.
And her brother is a tree-sucking dragon thing.
Yes, her brother's weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, it takes place after they've died, and Finn has died way after. Aww. And so he's trying to find Jake in the afterlife and stuff.
Aww.
And then there's Wizard City.
Oh, boy.
So I think Together Again is probably the second best one if I were to rate them. Like, none of them are bad.
Yeah.
Wizard City takes place, I guess, shortly after the events of the show because it follows Peppermint Butler after he's been hit with the dum-dum juice or whatever.
Peppermint Butler.
And so he's not Peppermint Butler, the necromancer thing.
Psycho.
But he's like basically like a little kid, goes to Wizard City. He's going to go to a wizard school to try and learn the dark arts or whatever.
He goes right back to it, man.
He's trying to.
Oh.
So watch all those if you like Adventure Time. It's not required viewing, but it's all good supplementary material.
I do. I realized I'd watched basically up until that. I have, but it's been so long that I need to go back.
Yeah, you should.
Because I don't remember hardly any of it. But I remember the things like with her uncle, and that was like one of the last things.
Yeah, that's like that's the ending arc of the show.
Yeah. So I did watch all that, but John has not gotten to it yet, so we need to finish that.
And then you can watch Distant Lands.
Yeah, on HBO, right?
HBO Max, that's right. Those are, I believe, exclusive to HBO Max. They're not on the Hulu or anything like that because they were made for HBO.
Cool.
I've been playing the game I bought for Black Friday, Spider-Man Miles Morales.
It looks really cool.
If you've played the other Spider-Man, it's exactly the same except your Miles Morales.
Haven't.
Has a good story.
Love Miles Morales, by the way.
Peter Parker is like, I'm going to Europe.
Speaking of
you're
which,
in charge.
Have you seen the new trailer for the new Spider-Man?
I haven't.
You haven't?
Or wait. Oh, for No Way Home?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I thought you were going to say Spider-Verse. I was like, no? Have they done that?
I would be super stoked about that.
I know they're making one.
Basically, the trailer is Spider-Verse. The new trailer is Spider-Verse for No Way Home.
Yeah. Yeah.
They definitely took that idea and ran with it.
Yeah. There's so you can unlock a bunch of suits in there, and one of them is the Spider-Verse suit.
Cool.
And one of the powers,
the black one.
Yeah.
Cool.
There's like several black ones in the game, but you get the Spider-Verse one specifically.
The one that Miles spray painted on.
Yes.
Yeah.
It has cool. Exactly. And but one of the things you can put onto the suit, you can do it to any of the other suits, is it makes it to where the frame rate is all messed up like in Spider-Verse.
Cool.
But it only affects your character, the Spider-Man. So everything else around you is normal, and then you just have this one person moving like some sort of interdimensional being or something, like with this bizarre frame rate that's wrong. It like hurt my brain to look at.
Weird.
But the best suit in the game is the one. So if you play the game, you do activities. do the one where you help a guy find his cat first, because then you're going to get a mission called Cat's Pajamas, and you're going to complete this mission. And it's the easiest mission. You go to the bodega, you talk to the guy, and he says, here you go. The suit is, you now have a backpack, and in that backpack is a cat who is named Spider-Man and has a Spider-Man mask.
It's so cool.
And so you're just running around the city, and there he is, Spider-Man, the cat, in a backpack, just sticking his head out.
He's just hanging out.
Yeah, he can't get hurt.
Yeah.
It's unrealistic, because there's parts where, like, you roll forward, and clearly you'd be squishing the cat. But it's like, it's a video game, don't worry about it.
It's fine. Spider-Man the cat is fine.
It's an adorable cat, don't worry about it.
He is adorable.
So...
Or she, whoever.
It's called Spider-Man. That's the name of the cat.
Who cares? You can have
There's a Spider-Woman. You could just name Spider-Woman.
But what if I wanted my female cat to be named Spider-Man?
I mean, I guess you can do whatever. What are they going to do? Stop you?
Exactly.
There's no law against it.
Exactly.
But yeah, that game is exactly the same as the other one, basically, but shorter, I guess. But I'm going to get the platinum on that probably.
Or you finish everything, basically?
Yeah. I've completed the story. I'm doing mop-up of all the stuff. And then I have to play through the story again to get the final trophy, but that'll be easy. But I'll get there. Yeah, why don't you go for a second?
Just life update. That's all. That's
okay.
All I have left. I have my surgery a month from today. I had my surgery. What is that called? Consultation, I guess. Today.
I hope you would know. You're the person who works in the medical field.
It was a consult. It was a surgical consultation, and
it's like the Family Guy bit where it's like we stopped going to that doctor. And he's like, looks like you got canker instead of cancer. So I was like, that's me. I need you to know things.
I am the nurse. Yeah. So I haven't really thought about my surgery until is in my face today, and I was like, it's a month from today, and I'm having part of me cut out. So that's kind of weird. So yeah. But we timed it. I looked at the schedule, and I still think we can get episodes out pretty well on time with everything. Hopefully.
We just have to move a little quicker than normal, I think, at least for some of these.
Well, one will have, yeah. We'll get them out on time to you guys.
Ideally.
Yeah, that's probably, maybe. That's the plan. It could change.
That's a good way to say it. Probably, maybe. We are not going to make a promise because we've broken too many if we had.
It's the plan, but we'll see what happens.
Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yeah. And we may not go to Scotland now. Omicron's a thing.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. We'll see.
I'm going to feel bad.
I've only been planning for this for 2.5 years.
I'm going to feel bad because every time you said something about going to Scotland, I'm like, maybe. Maybe you will. I don't know. We'll see.
But for real, I literally, in the back of my mind, I was like, surely it won't happen again. Surely COVID will calm down.
Nothing will be good ever again, Caitlin. You're just going to have to get used to that.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep. But John and I are all boosted up, and I don't know. We'll do whatever we have to do, I guess. But if they tell me, because right now the rules are you have to get a PCR test, which is the one that takes a while, like can take a few days. You have to get a PCR test within 48 hours of entering the country, and you have to self-quarantine until you get the results from that test back. I'm not going to spend 7 days in Scotland in quarantine and then come home. So I don't know what we're going to do. We'll figure it out. I'm not the travel company. Another place.
The travel company's the travel company.
And they can figure it out.
We both watched Arcane.
Yes. And I was going to say that till last. Are you done? I'm done.
Okay. Well, first of all, let me shout out a couple of indie games I've played. First of all, Super Hot. It is a very cool action game.
German game.
No.
The way you said that
sounded hot.
Super
Every
hot.
time you complete a level, it goes super hot. Super hot. And basically, time moves very, 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 very slowly when you're not moving. And then when you start moving, it moves in regular speed. And you have to fight these guys. And it's just a really cool concept and really fun game where you just like a lot of times where you go, oh no, I'm about to mess up, aren't I? So you just stop moving for a second. You're like, okay, let me see if I can plan this for like half a second while this is moving really slowly. And then you jump out of the way or whatever. Another one is another super game. It's called Super Liminal. And it is a puzzle game. It reminds me a lot of Portal. And I think that's on purpose as far as like the presentation. But it's about like perspective. So basically, you'd need to see the trailer, I feel like, to really understand what I'm gonna try and get across here. But basically, like forced perspective, like stuff where it's like, this looks like it's really small, but it's actually real big.
I've seen Lord of the Rings.
Exactly. You've seen Lord of the Rings. Or like, have you ever been to like, I don't know, Ripley's Believe It or Not?
No.
Okay. Trying to think, like how sometimes they'll be like, look, it looks like a room. And then you walk up closer to it and it's like, actually, it's just painted to look like it's a hallway.
And then you turn to the side and oh my gosh, it's all just a bunch of lines.
Yes. They do a lot of that in Superliminal. And they do that because it is all about perspective. And you can make objects bigger or smaller based on your perspective of what you're looking at. So
weird.
You can be like, this is like a normal can, and you pick it up, and then if you back up and have it positioned in such a way, like you'll let it go, you hit the button to let go, and suddenly it's a big old can because your perspective is like it was close to your face, so it looks like it's bigger. And so there's like a lot of that. I feel like my explanation is not good.
I got it though.
But yeah, you should watch like a trailer of Superliminal just to see go like, oh, that chess piece is real big now. That's crazy. That's neat.
Okay.
And then I watched the live action Cowboy Bebop. It's embarrassingly bad. It looks cheap and garbage. The character of Faye Valentine is insufferable. I do not care about her past at all. I care about the anime version's past. This version, I would be happier if she got shot in the head like all the other characters do all the time in that show. Aww. She is terrible.
You're so sweet.
There's a dumb twist at the end where Julia takes over the syndicate, and it's dumb.
Julia.
It makes no sense. The dialogue is cringeworthy and not on purpose. It's not like The Office or something. There's a scene I've seen on Twitter a billion times where it is this woman and she is talking to a man named Jet. Jet is a black man, and he says something like, "This sounds like blackmail," and she says, "Oh, Jet, it is, because you're black and you're a male." That's a real line in that show.
Cringy.
It's real bad. Welcome to the ouch, mother effers. That's another one.
Dislike.
But yeah, that show's bad, and not even just like this isn't like the anime enough. It's like
it's just properly bad.
I just thought, like, in my brain, I was like, okay, if I were just watching this, it's like, this looks cheap. Their costumes are bad. The dialogue is bad. These characters are bad.
Bad show.
And I wish them nothing but pain. Vicious, the character of Vicious is especially bad. I cannot convey how bad of an actor he is or how bad the direction is. He like makes these over the top facial expressions all the time that would make wrestlers think like, dude, you need to tone it down. Whereas in wrestling, you're always like, you got to do big, bold emotions because you're playing to a crowd.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that in a television show. And he always does like, there's like a couple of scenes where he does this face where he's like making an obnoxious frowny face. He's like supposed to be conveying like anger. He's like,
Ooh.
and his eyes are like bugging out and stuff. And I can't do that because my eyes can't bug out the way this guy does. And he has like a big weird face and stuff.
Dislike.
It's embarrassing. It's terrible.
How'd you make it through it?
I was just doing other stuff while I was watching it. It's like, I'm gonna finally do my laundry and
There
fold
you
the
go.
clothes
There
while I
you
kind of
go.
watch the show.
There you go.
That's part of how I did. John Cho seems like he's too good for this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's in it, but he deserves better.
He deserves better.
Everybody else, I'm not so sure. That guy who plays Vicious is real bad.
Oh, by the way, it's going to be 70 degrees tomorrow, in case you wanted to
That's
know.
obnoxious.
And 74 on Friday.
That's annoying. I don't like that.
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
But, so I guess Arcane, we both saw that.
Yes.
First of all, this show is very anime, so Caitlin loves anime now.
When I was watching it, I was like, this does seem kind of anime, but it had a better story.
Every single fight scene is straight up anime, especially.
I love the fight scenes with the music.
It
was awesome.
There's a part, and I sent you a video of this. There's a part where one of the characters has like these special fists.
Yes.
And they punch with these big old fists, these big, like steampunky fists.
Yes. It was
And then
very
after-
steampunk. I thought this was very steampunk.
After they punch, it then does like something, and it like goes like poof, and does like an extra punch.
Yes.
And I was like, Caitlin, that's straight up the punch from Big O. I sent you a video. There's a part in Big O, and it happens like every episode. He punches somebody, and then it does an extra punch on the punch, and it kills the other robot.
So cool.
It is very cool. So it's anime. There's a part where Vi comes flying in out of nowhere and hits somebody with a knee strike, and I was like, I've seen that in anime 1,000 times. That's straight up Kaneda hitting that dude on that bike with his knee. or also a V-trigger Kenny Omega style from wrestling. Whichever one you choose.
I choose neither.
You have to choose.
I choose Arcane.
It's anime.
It was so good. Like, we were watching it, and like, okay, so Arcane, it's a show on Netflix. It's really good. It's it's in the League of Legends universe. Which
And
League
you
of
don't
Legends,
need to know anything about it, because I literally knew
nothing.
all I knew was the music video with Jinx in it, which is how I knew. I was like, that's obviously Jinx.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know nothing. I thought it. So to me, it's like an online like battle arena type kind of multiplayer battle arena type game.
Multiplayer online battle arena, aka MOBA.
Yes,
That's the official title.
well, there you go.
Games
Exactly
like
that.
League of Legends,
Yes,
Heroes of the Storm,
don't know that.
Dota.
But League of Legends. So all I knew from it was watching my friends play in college. And was like, I didn't even know this game had any lore. Well, it didn't really, but now it does.
Yeah, there was like little bits of lore, but not
Yes.
like a real story.
Well, this is really good. It's a great storyline. The characters are awesome. The music is awesome. The animation is incredible. The fight scenes were just totally stellar. I mean, it was so good.
Yeah, even if you're like, this story's not as good as people are saying, like the animation and fighting and,
Yes.
and direction is all good enough to at least give it a look.
Yes. It was great. I loved it. I was big fan of the show. Me and John were both like, this is awesome. This is really good. Especially the last like few episodes were just really cool. Really cool.
Yeah,
So big fan of Arcane. Check it out on Netflix.
I liked it. I do wonder, there's a part, I asked you if you'd ever seen Venture Brothers when I was watching it.
No.
So there's a part where these characters are like, this is Hextech technology, and
Yes.
look how sick and badass it is. And this one guy, and like when I'm watching it, because he's like, look at, we can do this and we can do that. All these, we can mine better, whatever, all these nice things. And my first thought was like, these are obviously weapons from the game.
Weapons.
And it just made me think of Venture Brothers. I think it's the first episode where they go to like a science convention and Dr. Venture's like basically got a death ray. And they're like, that's obviously a death ray. Like, what are you doing? He's like, I mean, I guess if you really put your mind to it, you could make it a death ray, but it's not meant to be a death ray, but it's so clearly a death ray. And that's what I was thinking while I was watching that. And then like the little guy, Heimerdinger or whatever, he's like,
Yeah.
you should make those safer. Anyway,
Yeah.
you guys suck.
Yeah. Maybe not. Maybe let's hold back on this because that's going to kill somebody.
Yeah. I was just like, okay, this guy knows. He saw Venture Brothers.
He knows what's up. Yeah, it was great. Loved it. I highly recommend it. It was awesome.
The only bad thing is a lot of Imagine Dragons is in it.
Yes, that is literally when it first came on, the introduction song, I turned it on and I was like, is this Imagine Dragons? And he was like, I think so. And then when the second one came on, we had the subtitles on and it said whatever the theme song is, it said by Imagine Dragons.
I think.
By Imagine Dragons. I was like, no.
Yeah, like this show is great except for the intro, which I always skip.
Yes, me too.
It's the opposite of Cowboy Bebop live action, where I always watch the intro and kind of didn't pay attention to the rest of it, or at least didn't want to. Like the intro is great because they use the anime song,
Right.
which is called Tank, and they basically like recreated the anime's visuals for the intro, but with live action, which is kind of neat. But you know, the rest of the show sucks.
But that's Cowboy Bebop. Arcane good.
Yeah.
Arcane theme song not good.
Cowboy Bebop's music is better than Arcane's. I can tell you that.
See, I liked Arcane's because I thought it was like in the fight scenes, it was like the right energy. It was like the perfect energy.
Sure, I like the part. I showed you the music video today.
Yeah, Jinx's music video.
Jinx's music video when she was introduced as a character, which is in like 2014 or 13. This is like 7 years ago.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a neat little music video that the same company put together, Frontiche or whatever they're called.
It looks very similar to. You can tell this was
Yeah.
the like same company. Obviously, the animation isn't as good in 2014, but it's clearly the same universe and the same concept.
Yeah, but my favorite part was there's a scene in Arcane where Jinx is in her room, and the song that is playing is that song from that music video where it's like, whatever, get jinxed or whatever it says.
Yeah.
That song is literally playing within the world of Arcane. It is not the soundtrack. She is listening to a record.
Yeah.
She has a record player playing her theme song
That's so funny.
from the video game thing. It probably doesn't even play in the video game because it's a MOBA.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was like, I don't even know what to think about this right now.
Yeah.
This has broken me in a way.
Yeah, it was great. It was real good. Highly recommend.
I won't spoil it, but there's a bit of a plot contrivance at the end that I was telling you about off air that I found very frustrating.
It was definitely, what is that called when they do something to make it,
because the
Deus
plot,
Ex Machina?
Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
It was kind of that.
And where they force something to happen but they could have made it happen somewhere else.
I think plot contrivance is maybe what works in this specific situation rather than Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
Deus Ex Machina is like,
it's
we're about
convenience's sake.
We're about to lose, and then something happens.
Captain America comes in
out of nowhere. Yeah,
saves you from the Nazis.
It means God out of machine or something like that. But
okay,
yeah.
Still practicing that one.
Still practicing the usage of the word
Rome,
you learned.
When in Rome, you only learn if you try. I think that's about it for me.
Yeah, probably me too. Trying to see here. Yeah, I didn't really do much of anything else, I guess.
Yeah.
Miles Morales, that cat suit is real good. I'll post pictures maybe.
Cute. It was real cute.
Yeah, I couldn't believe. I was like, why would anybody use anything else in this game?
It was real cute.
Because like there's upgrades on the suits. They're like, you get extra powers or whatever, but you can use them on any of the suits. You just unlock it by getting the suit.
Oh, gotcha.
So I was like, yeah, I'm just going to
add those to the cat suit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why would I use anything else?
You shouldn't.
If I were a monster.
Yeah. I think that's about it. That's all I got.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I got to go get that platinum trophy.
Well, I'm really happy for you.
At least I'm going to try to. I got to get 100 hit combo on there.
Uh-huh.
Which I did on the old Spider-Man, the other Spider-Man game, because that's one of the trophies on there too. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, I wish you the best of luck, sir.
Thanks. I might need it.
Oh.
We shall see.
Okay.
But
well,
until
in the
then,
meantime, guys, thanks so much for stopping by. This has been Paint the Town Dead. You can catch us on Instagram at Paint the Town Dead. You can catch us on Facebook at I messed that up. Catch us on Facebook, Paint the Town Dead. Catch us on Instagram, Paint the Town Dead, all one word. Catch us on Twitter at PTTDpod. And you can email us at pttdpod@gmail.com. We have a TikTok that we've done nothing with. You can follow us on there. Maybe one day we'll get around to posting it.
We're too old for TikTok.
TikTok posting. TikTok scrolling, pro. I'm a pro. But yeah, TikTok posting, less of a pro. Guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for listening. We hope you had a happy and safe holiday. And listen, I just want to say, all you ladies out there, y'all just be like Maud Crawford. She was a smart, strong, independent woman who did her own thing and was just like a total boss. So, anyways, she's like my new icon.
Mine is still, I don't know.
What?
Something hilarious.
Okay.
Pretend I said a funny joke.
Okay, guys. Thanks so much for stopping by. We will catch you next time. Have a great few weeks. Until then. Okay, goodbye.
Bye.